welcome to Summer Shape. This is our really our favorite workshop of the year. It's the time everybody's really conscious of health and nutrition. First question I always ask is, raise your hand if you want to be healthy. I would hope that would be, no, everybody not raising their hand. Everybody wants to be healthy. So raise your hand if you also know that you have to exercise in order to be healthy. I think we know that. So the question is, why don't we? Because literally, as the statistics show, about 20% of us work out the way that we should. So that means 4 out of 5 or 80% of us don't exercise the way that we should. We know we need to work out. We know it's important to be healthy, but yet we don't exercise on a regular basis. A third of our kids are now unfit for military service. And that's, you think those numbers are getting better or worse? And it's worse every single year. 68, almost 70% of our adults are now obese or overweight. That was 2011, by the way, and those numbers just keep creeping up every single year. So the question is, why do we not do it? To reach fitness, to really achieve that goal, we at least need to know what we're talking about or what we're trying to achieve. So to define it, there's two definitions. One's from answers.com, the other's dictionary.com. I really prefer that top definition by far. So physical fitness is commonly defined as the capacity to carry out your day's activities. So that means going to work, that means getting through your day, carrying groceries, doing yard work, whatever you do in your daily activities. Yard work, by the way, is not exercise. So exercise is what you do to make your yard work easy, and your work is not your exercise either. I have probably one of the more physical jobs, and I can never consider this exercise because I have to exercise to make sure I can actually get this stuff accomplished. So literally, we tend to use our hobbies and our recreation as our exercise, but that's just to make those things easier. The other part of physical fitness or fitness is so that we can pursue those recreational activities. So we can do the things we love to do. So walking on the beach and playing tennis and golf and traveling, those things don't happen unless you have a certain level of fitness. And then if there's no other good reason to get healthy or to get fit, do it because you can handle emergency situations. So if there's no other good reason, do it because if your house were on fire, you may be able to get your grandkids out, or if the kid is drowning in the pool, you could help get them out. So if just for the least common reason, common denominator, do it because you can handle an emergency situation. And then the capability of distributing oxygen, blah, blah, blah. So that's fitness. Now this is the system we use, and hopefully you guys are fairly familiar with this system. It's those 5 essentials. And by the way, that's the system that we not only use on a daily basis, but we've literally transformed our entire practice to fit that model because of how effective that system is. And literally, we all know people who need to improve the way they think, improve the function of their nervous system, eat better food, exercise more, and reduce their exposure to toxins. So not only is that a good idea for healthy people, but all the research now shows it's the cure. Literally, everybody's looking for the cure these days. It's the cure for between 95 and 98% of all the diseases of modern man. So you can take cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's and dementia, arthritis, hormone problems, digestive issues. Literally, the cure is in that system. So the problem is nobody really knows about or has a logical way to put that system into their life, and not enough people know about it. So really our biggest mission here is to make sure we're able to reach people with that system. That's why we all should have at least 10 guests with us here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of those. Mindset is first, and this research has been done over and over and over again, where they compare exercise to the antidepressants and how they work, comparison side by side. This was out of Sports Medicine 2001. They found just walking for 30 days. You don't even have to walk briskly. Just walking for 30 days was equally as effective. Actually, it was more effective than the antidepressant that was used. I'm pretty sure it was Zoloft in that study, and they do them for lithium and all the other antidepressants. Literally, so in the short term, this is kind of a compilation of all the data. In the short term, the antidepressants and the exercise tend to work pretty similar, with exercise kind of nudging ahead slightly. In the long term, exercise blows those drugs out of the water. Literally every study, every research journal shows over the long haul, exercise is far more effective than almost every drug that's on the market. So the problem is we have about 6.8 million people chronically highly depressed, and literally that's about, not 6.8, 48 million people. It's literally about 6% of our population deals with that on a regular basis. When you throw anxiety into that equation, it's closer to 7 or 8, 9% of our population. So it's a huge percentage of us, and literally all we have to do is get out and move our bodies. And that's not even really exercise. That's just stuff we need to be doing anyway. And then the other studies that 4 months of high intensity interval training, which is more along the lines of what we teach in burst training, improved cognitive function, ability to think, recall, and make quick decisions. So I don't know about you guys, but when I was, for the first 25 years of my life, I always thought that you had a certain number of brain cells by the time you reached adulthood, and then those cells were kind of what you got, and then everybody saw the frying egg in the pan, and this is your brain on drugs. So those things, and they do kill brain cells, but your body replaces them every single day. So it's called neuroplasticity. Your brain never stops growing, adapting, and changing based on the lifestyle and the environment that we give our bodies. So literally, you can regrow brain cells, you can reattach those neuronal connections. That's all pliable based on all the latest research. And this is where it all comes down. I mean, we know we don't really have to make people exercise. We don't need more gyms. We don't need more exercise programs. We certainly don't need more Thigh Masters and pieces of equipment and stuff we have in our house. We just have a mindset issue. So the problem with exercise is not our heart or our lungs or our legs. It's those 6 inches that are between our ears, because literally we ask people, why don't they exercise? And we get all the excuses, and you guys have all heard them. It's painful, or it's too expensive, or I don't have time to exercise, right? Well, we see every single day where people get a cancer diagnosis. Magically, they have all the time in the world to exercise. They now have the money to join a gym. Literally, all those things just appear when that why is big enough. So, and this really breaks my heart. This was out of Glamour magazine, that out of 300 women they polled, 97% of them said they hated their bodies every day. So literally, they hate themselves on some visceral level every single day. And there's no way to ever get healthy if you don't at least love yourself first. And then you're really not much good to anybody else if you can't first love yourself. And that's not about ego or being self-serving. It's just about appreciating what God gave us so you can serve others. So this exercise may seem a bit silly or elementary, but take those limiting beliefs, and we all have 2 or 3 of them. They're probably there from mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers, coaches, and whoever's influenced us has put those things there, that we don't like our bodies, we're too lazy, I'm just not that kind of person that exercises, I don't have time to exercise. All those things those really aren't the truth. Our truth is never the truth, it's just our own truth. So it's just our viewpoint and the way we see the world, when there's always other people that are getting it done at a different level. So write those things down. Literally take about 2 minutes every morning, get up, I think there's some space on that sheet, write on there exactly what your limiting beliefs are, and then you change those into an empowering belief. And it seems very silly, but your brain cannot distinguish. All the literature shows your brain can't distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's reality, or what's done repetitively on a regular basis. So literally you can dream or have vivid thoughts or repetitively do things, and your body can't even distinguish that from actual reality. So then writing down your new empowering beliefs, instead of I hate my body, I love the way I look, I'm too lazy, I wake up and exercise because I want to be there for my grandkids, I make time for myself because I'm important, and I'm not a healthy person, and I'm the healthiest person I know. So that exercise will change your life, and I'll bet the bank on it. You do it every morning for 30 days. It literally takes a minute or 2, and it will rewire your way your brain is functioning. Because we all have heard the 30-day thing. It takes 30 days to break a habit. It also takes 30 days to create a new habit. So in those 30 days, you can actually rewire with those neuroplasticity of the brain. So here's some of the things that we're in our own way on. Those things that say that our exercise hurts. Well, the actual data doesn't support that. It actually shows that with arthritis pain, with degenerative osteoarthritis in the knees where people need surgery, their only other option is knee replacement, that exercise actually improves mobility, reduces pain, reduces inflammation, and it actually reduces the effects of the arthritis. So literally where we think, and you got to be smart. Obviously, if you need a knee replacement, you're not doing burpees. So you have to be, smart about your situation, and we can walk you through that, but exercise does the opposite of cause pain. And then that I don't have time to exercise. Does anyone really not have 12 minutes a day, 3 days a week, honestly, to exercise? I think no one would really honestly say that. That's just a big, fat excuse. So we can get in amazing shape in less than just minutes a day. Literally 12 minutes a day and 3 days a week. and then we can't afford the equipment, we've got that excuse covered too, because ours is free. You don't have to have equipment. You don't have to buy anything here. You can literally just do it at home. We say you can do it naked in your living room with no equipment if you'd like to. So now obviously there are resources you can purchase, burstclub.com, that you can join, that actually helps to kind of guide you through the process, make it easier. And I think too, even viscerally, when we spend money on things, we tend to get more out of it, because we only tend to value what we spend our money on. So everything that we have in our life that tends to be free, we put very little value on that. So, and what's more valuable than your health? And then to get the results you want, there's some commonalities to people that actually achieve their goals and get results. There's patterns of human behavior that we see. The people that are successful tend to all sort of do the same things. Now, they modified their food intake, because you can't really get those results without changing some of the things that you eat, and they exercised every day. So do we have to burst train every single day? Not necessarily, but you do have to move your body. God designed our bodies to move every single day. And there's no period, it only happens with lifestyle change. So forget Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers. Those just help you have a lighter casket. They'd have never been shown to help get you more physically fit or to help extend the quality of your life. They literally are just calorie counting, portion controls, and they never really do the entire lifestyle change that we all need. Accountability is huge in this. So if you're married, it's super easy, other than your spouse doesn't want to listen to you. But if you have a partner in this, it tends to make it easier. And all the studies show that when they take people, they put them in groups or pairs, and they put them through an 8-week educational course before they started their program, they had massively better results than the ones they just kind of threw into the program. So education is also key too. If we can educate you, part of the reason you're here is so we can keep giving you some of this knowledge over and over again, which kind of, it gets you through the tough times, the times you don't want to work out, the times that you feel a little too run down that day, or you just don't see the need for it. That education pushes you through that. And then also, it's not just info, but it's also goal setting, having a plan, your meal planning, and then also that accountability that we talked about. And then what's your plan? Because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We all know that. So exercise, we all need what's called a war plan. Hopefully, has everybody heard of the war plan? We talk about it a little bit in this office. It's literally a calendar that is blank. It has Monday through Sunday on there. It's 5 a.m. to about 10 or 11 p.m., whatever your bedtime is, and you literally write down everything you do for every single minute of the week. And that may seem a little daunting, and at first I thought it was very restrictive, but in reality it's very freeing. Once you have everything you need to do down, there's very little guesswork as to what you have to get done when you have a free 15 or 20 minutes. Now, do we get everything done on the war plan? Is it perfect every week? Of course not. And that's not even the point. The goal is the more things you plan, the more things you get done. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I revise mine about every 2 or 3 months. Actually, with summer being here, my daughter's school changing, it's time to revise my war plan again. So it's constantly in flux. Now, there are benefits. And the last thing on this is if your why is big enough, the how literally takes care of itself. If this is important enough to you to eat right, be healthy, take care of your nervous system, the mechanics of how you get to your appointments, when you do your exercise, that stuff just sort of works itself out anyways. So the key with this is just making it the most important thing on your schedule. Because really, what's more valuable than your health? I mean, name something you own, physically own, that's more valuable than your health. I'll guarantee your car. You would not trade your car for your health. You wouldn't trade your job. Actually, if you lose your health, you'll probably lose your job. Your traveling, your hobbies, you'll lose all those things if you lose your health. Your spouse, your marriage, it stresses all of those things. If your health goes downhill, we lose everything else with that. So other than your faith and family's health, there's nothing else in your life more valuable. So, and we always ask the question, if someone held a gun to your kid or grandkids, to your grandkid or grandkid, and said they would lose their life if you didn't exercise every day, what do you think you would be doing every single day? I mean, literally every day you'd find the time to exercise. If it was that important, you would always work to get it done. So there's ways we typically are taught to work out, and that's the traditional classic cardio. And you guys all know this. You get on the Stairmaster, you get on the treadmill. We literally go for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, somewhere in that range. And that's really the typical way we've been taught to exercise. And literally that research comes from the 1940s, 50s, and the early 60s. That's where most of that science originated, where you get your heart rate up to the fat burning zone and you leave it there for 25 to 45 minutes. There are benefits to that. You can lower your resting heart rate. It does lower blood pressure, helps to keep your brain young and healthy because it improves circulation, and it helps to detoxify by stimulating the lymphatics. So there are benefits. I don't want to say that it's better to do nothing than to do cardio, but the cons is it ruins you at the hormonal level. So literally you're secreting a hormone called cortisol after about the 30 to 35 minute point. And everybody's a little different in their physiology, but after about 35 minutes of sustained activity where you just keep going at the same pace for 35 minutes, you can almost guarantee you're secreting cortisol. Now, cortisol is extremely catabolic, so it's breaking down your muscle tissue and it encourages the storage of fat. And for men, that's usually that spare tire area, and for women, it's usually the butt, hips, and the thighs. That's the typical way. So it slows down your muscle building and it increases fat storing, and it also blunts the two hormones that you want to increase. So with exercise, we want to increase testosterone and growth hormone. Cortisol stifles those two. So literally, instead of burning fat for the next 36 hours, now you're storing fat for the next 36 hours. And it decreases your immune function. You ever known someone who was training for a half marathon? Invariably, they will get sick or get a cold, or it ruins the immune system over time. So unless you want to be sick or you have to train for a long distance marathon, this is not the way you want to exercise. It's really not the ideal. What we teach, and really where all the science is now moving toward, is what's called metabolic conditioning. And there's different names for it. Some people call it Metcon or HIIT or Tabata. Burst training, surge training, those are all sort of AKAs in a way. It's the conditioning exercise that elicit a specific hormonal response. And really it is all about your hormones. And I used to kind of scoff at that statement that, you know, I'm heavy or I'm not heavy because of my glands. And I used to think it's your salivary glands, it's not your hormonal glands. And in reality, it really is our glands. Our glands are what make us a fat burner or make us a sugar burner. Your glands determine which fat you burn when you're sleeping versus building muscle. That all is determined by our hormonal secretions, and we can control that. So this surge training is characterized by short bursts of high intensity exercise. So literally, high intensity means as hard as you can go, and the key with this is that 80 to 90% of your maximal heart rate. Now, I'm not a big fan of keeping track of my heart rate, because I don't want to keep buying the batteries that you got to put in those things, and also I don't like watching the watch and keeping an eye on things. So the best way to know that you're at 80 or 90% is you get to that point, you're at 80 or 90%. Now, the studies show it only takes literally 12 minutes per day. So some of these benefits, these are the ones that you really only get with the metabolic conditioning. You get the increase in human growth hormone testosterone, it decreases your cortisol, significantly increases your lean muscle tissue, so you're now burning fat for at least 36 hours, and you also get that metabolism afterburn. The two on the right, or the one on the top right, you can get that response with either burst training or traditional cardio, because both will improve your cardiovascular response. We know that that's true. But in the bottom corner, traditional cardio does not increase your anaerobic capacity. That's only done with that metabolic conditioning or weightlifting. And then the other one is to improve that cellular function and detoxification. That also does happen with traditional cardio. So you get all 6 of those benefits. It's a whole heck of a lot quicker. It's a whole heck of a lot cheaper, and it just takes a fraction of the time. So here's the study, and this is the one that really kind of makes all the difference. In the 1997 study, there was a significant loss in body fat. So the people that went 80 to 90% of their maximal heart rate, so the people, they lost the most amount of fat. They had a significant change in their body fat. They had a significant change in their weight. The ones that went at 60 or 70% of their maximal heart rate, which is more like, they had almost no difference. So virtually no benefit between doing literally a 10 to 20% difference in outward effort, and in the difference there was no perceived difference in workload. So the group that was going harder didn't really think they were going harder. They experienced no significant increase. They didn't even really realize they were going at a higher rate, yet they were the ones that got all the benefit. In another study, after 12 weeks, the average students lost about an entire stick of butter from their waistline. So if you can imagine like a stick of butter here, I could probably lose a stick of butter. And then 3.1 pounds of pure fat from their trunk and their midline. Everybody seen a pound of fat? You ever seen how much that is? A pound of fat is almost like a whole handful. That's like 1 pound of fat. So 3 of those over a 12-week period. And that's just doing the burst training. That's not adding clearing the nervous system and eating the right foods and detoxifying. That's not even adding the other essentials. It's just doing that one thing. So this is the way we had to think. It's more high intensity. Forget the low intensity stuff. This is the way we have to move in the future. And actually, most of the research showed it reverses what's called metabolic syndrome. If anybody's ever heard of that recently, that is rampant in our culture. It's the underlying cause of diabetes and heart disease and most cancers and Alzheimer's and dementia. And the underlying cause of metabolic syndrome tends to be inflammation. So if you can get to the root of all of these problems, literally, and I don't care if your concern is cancer or heart disease or diabetes, you can literally cut those diseases off at the root. After 16 weeks, half the participants enrolled no longer had metabolic syndrome, so they reversed their disease. They reversed their diabetes, their lipid levels, they reversed their blood glucose levels and their high blood pressure, literally by just changing their exercise and did nothing to their diets. They even tweaked the way that they ate, and they got those results. And then less impressive gains were seen with people that did traditional cardio. And I could sit here all day and go through research after I didn't want to beat you to death with it, but just to drive the point home that this is not just a fad or some trend. This is the way everything is moving. You even see like on, who's the guy that does the 60-minute intensity? What's Shaun T's intensity thing? Well, his used to be an hour, you notice, and quite frankly, most people do that for like the first 3 days and then they'd never do it again. So not only did they quit doing that because people couldn't finish the program, but they changed because of the science. So now it's only like a 25-minute program. They've actually shortened it, and people are actually getting better results. So I don't really necessarily recommend that program, but you can see everybody's adapting to the new research. So it's very simple. 80 to 90%, you pick full body movements. So things you can move your big muscle groups with. That's generally going to be like your butt, hips, and thighs. There are some upper body movements we can do as well, but you get the best results in the bigger movers. So cycling, my favorite way really to do it, and if I go to the gym, is to do like an upright bike, to put the resistance as high as I can put it on there and just pedal as hard as I can go. And it's not that fast. It's literally like churning through quicksand for 20 seconds, and then I crank the intensity down to, I think it's level 3, which is like just barely enough to keep the machine going. Do that for 20 seconds, and then crank it back up as hard as I can go for 20, down 20, and after 4 minutes, I've literally done my cardio. Now, I'll generally do some weights after that, but that's the 4-minute program, and you can do up to obviously 12 minutes as well. Sprinting is great, climbing stairs, elliptical, and then if you're not ready for sprinting or climbing stairs, then just doing whole body movements. I mean, we can all, if you sat in that chair, you can get out of it, so we can all do those squatting type movements. If you have to start with like your fingers as fast as you can go for 20 seconds, start there, and then we'll kind of work the wrists and elbows and keep going. This is the DVD program that we have is Max T3, and it's all based on the time, type, and tempo. So it's basically how long you do it, the type of exercise that you're doing, and then the rhythm and the frequency. And literally, it's based on all skill levels. The other method we have is Mr. Nathan Oates. He's been nice enough to join us today. He's going to take us through just a really quick, just a short piece of burst training. He is the founder or co-founder. I guess your wife is the co-founder. Right. Give her most of the credit. Of burstclub.com. We've been very blessed to know them. Come on up, Nathan. Let's let you kind of introduce what you guys do.
Sure. How we doing? So glad you guys joined us. I know that Dr. Ben has worked really hard, and he's had a long day as well, and I'm glad you guys took some time. Burst training, obviously you said Burst Club basically packages it in a very mobile, succinct way. We work with corporations, the #1 natural nutrition company around in the United States right now. We also partner with many organizations across the country already now. And what we've done is basically taken burst training and put it in a mobile format where it is literally in, if you have an iPhone, if you've got an iPad, computer. We don't have DVDs, and we've chosen not to do DVDs because DVDs are mobile. And we live in a mobile society. We know people are on a very time crunch way. So with our program, basically you get in and you are within 3 to 4 minutes of actual work. We have 3 6-month programs, plus we have 3 12-week programs on top of that. So we are kind of like a Netflix for fitness in regards to the surge burst training side of things, and we'll continue to grow. And we have a whole array of things within the site. It's called burstclub.com, and through Dr. Ben, we've partnered with Dr. Ben because we love what he does. We bring our family here. We know how important chiropractic is, and getting fully aligned in every way. So, did you want me to actually have them do something?
Yeah, let's do like 2 movements,
okay.
just a couple different, like 2 per movement.
Okay,
just
okay.
A little taste.
Like the difference? Do we show a difference, or do we just show
yeah,
a...
just
okay, so everyone stand up really
body,
quick. Yeah, we'll just stand up really quick. So, what I want you to do is demonstrate the normal routine. Obviously, is just jogging in place. So all I want you to do is just want you to lightly jog in place. It's nothing. This is what the normal, typical thing is that people do. We know this routine. We can go, and we have an infinite amount of energy in our body. If you know about the 3 types of energies you have, you can burn on this for a long time. I don't want to say forever because it's not, but you can go a long time. Now stop for a second. Is your heart rate like thumping like really bad or anything of that nature? No. Piece of cake. Now, what I want you to do, and everyone knows their own body, so I want you to do your 90 to 100% if you can. I want you to do just run in place as fast and as hard as you can for 10 seconds. I just want you to do 10 seconds. I don't even do a whole 20-second thing, but I want you to just do your best. If you have any issues or whatnot, but just do the best that you can to just try to do it.
5 seconds.
So 5 seconds. So I want you to just hey, listen, your 90% and 100% is going to look different than mine, right? So I want you to do it, and your body, everybody's body will respond the same. And so, again, my wife and I, we travel all over the country. We speak on this, doing exactly what Dr. Ben's doing tonight, because we are trying to help the country understand that there's a better way and there's an easier way of doing this.
And I think we might have missed the point he just made there. You get the same result. So
Absolutely.
in your body, if you're not doing that, but it's still that a good amount of effort, you get the exact same. Actually, you probably get better results because he's a little more conditioned in terms of fat burning and muscle building. You're getting a better result, even though yours looks more like this versus what he was doing.
Exactly.
So the motion doesn't matter. It's all about the effort. So.
And the only thing that needs to increase, the reason you don't need to increase time is because as you get stronger, the only thing you need to increase is your intensity. You go harder. That's it. And that's why you're continually getting added benefits. It never has to change.
You can keep doing the same movements over and over and over again. As long as you're ramping up the intensity, your body never gets used to it. You still keep burning fat, building muscle.
Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 exercises real quick. The first one, obviously, was the sprint in place real quick, 10 seconds. And then right away, I want you to come down. This is called bicep curl squat. So I want you to do a little bit upper body. So think of it like you're curling. I don't know if you can see. Everyone can see. I'm trying to get into it here. Throw different ways. Yeah. So you're down like this, and you're in a static squat, and you kind of sway. So you're going like this, as fast and as hard as you can. We'll do it for 10 seconds, okay? So 20 seconds total. I want you to go right from sprinting in place right into the standing bicep, the bicep curl squats, okay? We ready? Can we do this? All right, here we go. In 5 seconds, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, come on, come on, come on! Come on, 10 seconds, 10 seconds! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, keep going, keep going, keep going! That's 5 seconds, come on, 5 more seconds, 5 more seconds! 5 more seconds! And bicep curl squats, come on, here we go! Come on, pump it! Full, come on, come on, come on! Here we go, here we go, here we go! Come on, don't quit, don't quit! Don't hit the chair! Come on! And stop! Okay. Okay.
And the sillier you feel, the better you're
Whose
probably
heart is
doing
thumping?
it. So.
Whose heart's beating? If your heart's not beating a little bit, you didn't go 100%. That's how you know.
Yep.
That's the litmus test. You know, if you go 20 seconds, you're 90 to 100%. Your body, most even Olympic athletes, because I don't know if you mentioned that, most of the science comes out from the Olympics, from the Olympic athletes. As a matter of fact,
They could maybe go 30 seconds, 40 at the elite level,
Right,
but
at
you
the
can't
elite.
sustain an all-out burst for more than 30 seconds.
at 100% of their maximum effort for anybody. So you understand how the science works. Actually, I was just talking with Allison Dudek, I don't know if you ever heard her, she was a bronze medalist in the speed skating. This is what they do. They burst. And they will do it throughout the day, small little burst trains, and they become Olympic athletes by doing that. So, anyway.
We got a lady. Thank you for
Yeah.
introducing that.
Yeah,
Let's give
absolutely.
a round of applause.
Yeah.
So we've got
Oh,
some information. It's right there.
Yeah, I do just want to mention, actually we just launched this too. Through Dr. Ben, we have a specific program, burstclub.com/Cairo, 180 Cairo. And if you just type that in, you're going to get a specific, especially on the annual plan, 30% off on
Yeah,
our,
there's a big discount if you
Huge
sign up
discount,
through the
so-
office and all that. So.
yeah, and that's a limited time as of right now, so yeah.
And also, too, we got a lady that she's known as the crazy lady at Vanderbilt. She literally works at Vanderbilt, and she does it in the bathroom. So literally, she will go in the stall and shut the door. And most of her coworkers know if they hear like a bunch of commotion in the stall, that's going to be her doing her burst training. So we can all get it done. It's possible. It's just so much easier than it really has to be. So dieting, this is the other part of the nutrition or the health equation in terms of traditional America, is eating right and exercising. So the dieting thing doesn't work, and at least it never works long term. So is anybody on a diet that they've currently been on since last year? We never really keep those things going. If you're on it for a year, that's a lifestyle change. That's really not a diet anymore. And dieting really doesn't do anything but make your casket lighter, so your pallbearers don't have to lift as heavy and their backs say okay. So this is the peak season. Most women between 25, 54, this is the time they do it. About 2/3 of dieters end up regaining more weight than when they started. We've all heard that stuff before. And that dieting actually promotes weight gain. When you do this calorie restriction thing, and we've all heard that calories in versus calories out, that a calorie is a calorie. That is the most BS old science. If you ever hear a nutritionist or a doctor tell you that calories don't really matter, or as long as it's just 100 calories of this equals that, I can assure you that 100 calories of Krispy Kreme donut does something completely different to your body than 100 calories of broccoli. Literally, the broccoli uses about 98% of those calories to process itself. The Krispy Kreme goes directly to your fat cells as it's utilized by sugar. So it's what it does to your body, and again, what it does to the hormones. So you need a sustainable lifetime change that's not going to deprive you, because if you feel deprived, that's going to be short term. Literally, we're never going to keep that up over the long term. And one of the biggest things, if you're going to drop 10 pounds fast, and the good thing about doing it the right way, it's also the best way. If you do it the right way, it's also the quickest way. So the main thing is to eliminate sugars. And we all know that sugar's not good for us, but that's what literally destroys us at the hormonal level. And we're talking about 28 days here. We're not talking about the rest of your life. Cutting out grains. Now that's one of the most controversial ones, because grains are not just bread, but it's also pasta and cereal and crackers, chips, pretzels, donuts, cakes, cookies, oatmeal. That all qualifies as a grain. And the reason those are so bad is because of how quickly they convert into sugar. If you think about when you eat a piece of bread, how quickly that turns into mush. That mush is sugar. So whole wheat bread is actually higher on the glycemic index than a Snickers bar. So if you have a choice between a Snickers bar and a piece of whole wheat bread, you're literally, from a hormonal perspective, you're better off eating the Snickers bar. And then the other thing about grains is they generally will contain what's called gluten. Gluten is an inflammatory protein, also gliadin, which actually drives up the inflammatory process. So there's really two main reasons we want to avoid grains. Removing the bad fats and adding the good fats, we're going to touch on that in a moment. Because if you're going to burn fat, you have to consume adequate amounts of good, healthy fats. If you're deficient in good fats, you'll never rewire those hormones, you'll never burn fat, because your hormones are actually made of that fat. You have to have it. And then eating fruit sparingly. We all know what fruits that we can eat, right? Green apples, berries, anything that ends in berry. So blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, cranberries, as long as they're not sweetened. And then lemons, limes, avocados, and grapefruits in moderation. So Granny Smith apples, berries, lemons, limes, avocados, and grapefruits in moderation. And then avoiding toxins. We're talking about the two biggest summer toxins in a second. So we know good fat is healthy. It's a source of energy. Our cell walls need it. On and on. It contains conjugated linoleic acid, which actually signals the brain to burn fat. If you're going to control your leptin levels, you have to have adequate intake of good fats. 70% of your brain is good fat, so if you're not getting enough, your brain's at stake. It's anti-inflammatory. Probably the best thing that good fats do is they reduce the inflammatory response, and that's the underlying driver of arthritis, type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, allergies, arthritis, Alzheimer's and dementia. All those have inflammation at the root, balance hormones, and then the examples of the good fats are your healthy oils, so your coconut, olive, grapeseed. At higher temperatures, you want to stick with grapeseed and coconut oil. At lower temperatures, you're good with flax, olive oil, butter. Those are your good, healthy, low temperature fats. And then avocados, flax, coconut, nuts and seeds. I knock out the first 6 of those with my shake that I do every day. Literally, I do a shake, a scoop of that protein powder with a half a can of coconut milk. I'll add flax seeds and chia seeds. Usually, sometimes if I don't use the coconut milk, I'll do a scoop of coconut oil, or the coconut, like literally a scoop of the coconut oil. And then, the chia seeds are in there too. So really the first 6 of those I knock out in just one little drink every day. It's got good fat, good protein, almost 0 carbohydrates, very healthy. And then butter, can I get an amen for butter? We all love butter, right? If it's good raw butter, especially organic butter, that's actually good for you. Same thing with cheese, if it's raw and at least organic. Grass-fed beef and dairy, free-range chicken and eggs, and then wild-caught fish, particularly salmon. So post-exercise, this is where a lot of people mess up, is after they work out, they tend to eat the foods that that kind of stop that hormonal wave they just started. So you just started a wave of decreased cortisol. You just did it a minute ago when you did your burst training. You're now decreasing cortisol. Right now your testosterone and your growth hormone levels are slightly spiking because of what you did. If within 2 hours of the workout you eat a high carbohydrate meal, really just about anything that contains refined sugars or grains, within 2 hours it stifles that hormonal response and you will not burn fat. It almost completely stifles human growth hormone and testosterone because of that insulin surge, and you will not burn very, very little, if any, fat. So within those 2 hours, you want to stick to high fat, high protein. If you're going to do the carbohydrate meal, make sure you do it an hour before you exercise, at least an hour before, preferably never. And then your protein and green smoothies. And we have an excellent product called Max Fit, which contains ashwagandha and decaffeinated green coffee bean extract, which actually helps you to maintain cortisol levels and increase your insulin sensitivity. And then the summer toxins, the biggies here, the 2 biggies are sunscreen, and the other one is bug spray. Those are the 2 in the summer that we tend to expose ourselves to the most. The 3 problems is the sunscreen, they generate free radicals. If you look on the back of the sunscreen, if it contains retinol A or vitamin A, when that is oxidized by the sun, it immediately creates a free radical that's absorbed through the skin. So they're actually showing increased rates of melanoma in people that use traditional sunscreens. We're putting that stuff on to help us, and it's actually causing skin cancer. Increased damage that changes leads to cancer. They have strong estrogenic activity. So again, it's disrupting the hormones, turns little boys into little girls and little girls into cancer patients. So you never want to mess the hormones up. They're synthetic. I mean, would you eat that stuff? Of course not. So it accumulates. Your body stores toxins in your fat cells. So as a protective mechanism, when we're exposed to a high level of toxins inside the body, our body puts those into the fat cells. So your body doesn't want to release that fat until you first detoxified the body. That's why a lot of people can lose the first 10, 15 pounds and then they just kind of get stuck. It's because they're toxic. Their body will not let go of that last bit of fat until they can allow the body to get rid of the toxins first. So using chemical-free sunscreens. So the 2 words you want to look for are zinc oxide, or the 4 words, zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Those are your 2 healthy versions of sunscreen. Make sure those are the 2 primary chemicals, so zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. And then the other one is bug spray. So obviously bug spray is not good on our skin. There's other alternatives. I think doTERRA makes an oil that's very good as a bug repellent, tick repellent. There's several different things out there that are all real healthy. Melaleuca, Jason's, I think they all make good products. And then your nervous system. So what ties this all together, because if I damage the nerves to your digestive system, it doesn't really matter a lick of beans if you're eating the best, most organic food, if you're taking in all the supplements and vitamins. If I cut the nerves that control your digestive organs, those organs are dead. So if any way, shape, or form we compromise the body's ability to control the organs, then it can't assimilate all that good organic food. It can't utilize the exercise that you're doing. So one way to know how important things are to your body is to know how long your body can go without them. So we can last about a month without eating any food. So you can literally go a whole month without eating a bite of food. You can live several days without water. So we know that water is actually more important than the food that you're eating on terms of what your body needs. Air, you can only go a few minutes without breathing air, so we know air is actually more important than the water you're drinking, but you can't go a second without nerve supply. So on a priority scale, your nervous system sort of trumps everything in terms of exercise, nutrition. If that system fails, nothing else really matters. You give Christopher Reeve all the best organic food, we move his body in a burst training format, and we remove all the toxins from him, it doesn't matter because his nervous system doesn't work. So that's part of this whole, and that's why it's the second essential. But after we get you thinking right, we have to make sure your brain's able to control your body without interference. Now, the way the body works, literally your brain is a computer sending messages through the spinal cord to the body, and literally it's via those nerves. So the same nerves that make your neck sore and control your neck muscles are the same nerves that are controlling your sinuses. A little lower, the nerves that run your arms also control your heart and your lungs. That's why when people have a heart attack, they tend to have arm pain, because the same nerve that runs your heart is also running your arm. And then your lower back, the nerves that control your digestive organs and reproductive organs, also run your back, hips, and legs. So that system works, and as long as that system can work with no interference, your body's able to heal, function, replicate cells, control hormones, turn over the body. You literally get a whole new body every 7 years. That process is run by the brain as long as there's a healthy nervous system. When things aren't working right, our body's pretty brilliant, and it generally gives us warning signs. And the most typical, I sort of put the most common ones up there, headaches are a biggie. A lot of people in this culture get headaches, which your headaches are never the problem. They're just your body's way of telling you there's a problem. And the nerves in your neck are what control blood supply to the head. So it's very common to see headaches. We see a lot of women with menstrual issues. The nerves in your lower back control those menstrual organs. When's the last time a woman with menstrual problems went to their OBGYN and the first thing that they did was they checked the nerves that are controlling those organs? And it almost seems ridiculous as I say that, but when's the last time you went to your pediatrician and they checked the nerves to your kid's lungs? Or your allergist and checked the nerves to their sinuses or lungs? Or when do we go to the gastroenterologist and they're checking the nerves to our digestive organs? So our system doesn't work that way. And we have a lot of great doctors in this country that can fix those organs when they go bad, and thank God, but we never see or measure how the system that controls all that is working. So we kind of need both systems in place. Depression, insomnia. Depression is a biggie. At C1 and C2, a large percentage of your serotonin receptors are at the top part of your neck. So if you took your pinky behind your ear, your serotonin receptors, about 40 or so percent of those are located at the top of the neck, which what is serotonin related to? It's your mood, but it's also your sleep. So those are regulated largely by the gut and also the top part of the neck. Sciatic, obviously, neck pain, dizziness, fatigue. Acid reflux for me, one of my biggest problems is T7, which is right in the middle of my back, and I rarely will get back pain. I always get reflux first. So I can eat perfectly fine, no carbs, no sugar, and when my back goes out from standing like this for 8 hours a day, the first thing I feel is generally reflux. If I leave it there too long, it'll start causing pain, and everybody's different. Some people the pain shows up first, but those are not the problems. It's just my body's way of communicating with me. It always cracked me up with acid reflux because the body's screaming at you to change something and fix it, and we just give 2 pills to say, shut up. Just shut up, quit, just let me go on about my day. And that's just how we treat all those symptoms, really, when you know, inhalers for asthma, Neurontin for numbness and tingling, you know, you have amphetamines for fatigue, you know, you go down the list where there's drugs for all those things. And they're never problems, they're just your body's way of talking to you. So the chiropractic wellness patients, those of you that have been under care for a long period of time, there is some benefit. It's not only hopefully is your pain better, but the ones that were 65 and over, these are seniors, the ones that were under care for 5 years or longer versus the healthy citizens in the same category. So they're same age, peer group, but not under regular chiropractic care. The ones under care spent 31% of the national average on health care. So 70% less cost on drugs and surgeries. They had 50% fewer medical visits. Obviously their health habits were better, less smoking. 98% considered their care extremely valuable. So the satisfaction rate was almost 99%. Name another profession in healthcare that has close to a 99% satisfaction rate. I mean, it literally almost doesn't exist. And then the wellness patients had 60% fewer hospital admissions, 60% fewer hospital days hospitalized, 60% less surgeries, and the kicker is 85% less drugs or less expenditure on drugs. I mean, drugs alone are predicted to bankrupt our country. Just that one thing, not even the surgeries and the other illness, but just the cost of medications alone can bankrupt us. Imagine if we only had to spend 15% of that number. And we do need some drugs. My sister is type 1 diabetic, so praise God there's insulin. There are cases where we have to have medications, but 85% of them could go away if we had the right system. And these aren't even maximized living patients. These are people just doing adjustments, not even the home care with the corrective exercises or the nutrition or the exercise and burst training or minimizing toxins. So these are just sort of the run-of-the-mill chiropractic care. Imagine if everybody in the country was living those 5 essentials. That as you got into kindergarten, we taught you all 5 of those things. That's just kind of how you grew up living. Imagine what that would do to this entire culture. And it's so easy. It's right on our tip of our fingers. We just have to get it to people. So the people if you know anyone that needs care, we have a referral system that we give to people that literally, if you write their name and number down, give it to Casey or Catherine, we will get them their initial exam and x-rays. I know that's a big stumbling block for a lot of new patients. They don't want to pay for x-rays. They're scared of the first visit. So if we can make that free and make it very, very no harm, no foul, that will introduce us to a very large percentage of the population. But the problem is I don't know the people that you know. You guys know people that need this, but we don't know them. So the way we get to know them is through that little coupon we talked about or our community dinner. So on the 2nd, we're doing our dinner at Bosco's where you get to invite up to 10 of your friends. Free dinner at Bosco's. We talk a little bit about maximized living, and then they get the chance to learn how to be healthy. It's very simple. We have a lot of our, not only is burstclub.com on sale today, but all of our supplements in the office. There's some things that can help to kind of assist you in this process. The protein, which comes from all grass-fed cows. It's low temperature pasteurized, kind of a meal in a scoop. And also that Max Fit product is all 15% off today. This is other than the makeover, this is the biggest discount that we do throughout the year. So here's the challenge. You guys all have those papers. On the first page is your pledge. And that seems silly, but literally it's a step of faith that literally if you sign that, then for the next 28 days, you're committing to eating better and exercising. And on the 3rd or 4th page, it goes through exactly what to do, how to exercise. Your recipes are in there. There's mac and cheese recipe. I think there's veggies and Cajun chicken. There's several really good recipes. And these are our upcoming events. So the community dinner, the people you know that need care, that need to just get healthy. Because the thing is, once you know something that can help people, it's just the right thing to do to tell them. And if they don't live here and they're not able to get to this office, then give us their name and number. We'll find them an office that's near them. There's about 400 other Maximized Living offices all around the country. We'll plug them in with an office that does exactly what we do because literally I don't want to feel like there's blood on my hands if someone I know could get healthy, but I just didn't reach out to tell them that there's an option. So many people are suffering and don't have to. All right, guys, thank you so much, and God bless.